Here's the other story on the front page of tomorrow's Australian. Visa revamp to unleash boss battles. The article says employers have warned of a skilled foreign worker exodus from the regions to the cities under sweeping new rights being considered by the Albanese government, making it easier for migrants to shift jobs and extend their stay to make claims for unpaid wages or entitlements. Now, this news has come out of leaked government discussion papers where the Home Affairs Minister, Clare O'Neill, is intending to shake up Australia's migration system. Caleb, isn't the point of putting migrants in regional areas to not only use their skills, but to get skills into those places where, as we've been talking about tonight, we're crying out for skilled workers. So it's a perfect opportunity to boost the regions. Migrants are willing to do it because they just want to be in Australia. So I have to live in, I don't know, Toowoomba or Dubbo or wherever, I'm not sure where, but if I have to live there for a few years, I'm prepared to do that, whereas Australian residents would not. What would be the reasoning for making this change?
I mean, we need more people in the cities like a hole in the head, don't we? We don't have the housing for one. So on one hand, the Albanese government says, oh, look at us, we've got this housing plan. We're going to put up all these houses in the next 10 years. It's all going to be fine and dandy. And then meanwhile, they're running around saying, oh, well, the people who are living out in the regions because we told them they have to live in the regions, maybe you can come into the city as well. So it's almost a double effect, where you hurt the cities because you create extra pressure on all the people already living there because these people then need places to live and send their kids to school and whatever, and you're hurting these regional towns that need the workers to help prop them up. At the same time, it does not make any sense. If we're going to import workers into this country, we have to be very strict about where they are going and the skills they have. It's not an open-ended question.
Yeah, and we're talking about 2.1 million. I mean, I actually was sitting here silently reading this about 50 times because the text is so tiny. I genuinely thought it said 21 million. I was like, guys, why aren't we talking about the sheer enormity? I wouldn't put it past Labor. That's why I had to read it 20 times. But no, it is 2.1 million. So it's not a small shake-up.
No.
We can expect a lot more than we think we currently are. To the Courier Mail now, Miles versus the elites. You thought you'd never see this. Labor taking a dig at the Greens. We thought you were your favourite bedfellows. Deputy Premier declares war on inner city Greens. Deputy Premier Stephen Miles has let fly at, quote, wealthy inner city elites, end quote, while accusing the Greens of trying to clip Brisbane Airport's wings by restricting flights and driving up airfares. Here you can hear it from the horse's mouth. Here he was saying his piece.
The Greens are not a party of the environment. They're a party of wealthy inner city elites. And what they're saying is that planes shouldn't fly over the homes of wealthy inner city elites. They should only fly over the homes of working people. And that only wealthy inner city elites should be able to afford to fly, but working people shouldn't be able to afford to fly.
So the Greens are trying to impose a curfew and a cap for planes flying over certain areas. This is his response. I just find it absolutely hilarious.
Well, look, I mean, he's not wrong in what he says, but let's just take a moment to perhaps think about the fact that in Queensland, the inner city Labor seats have been under attack from the Greens, including at the federal level where they won seats at the last federal election for the first time ever. They got Brisbane, etc. They're worried. That's what this is about. He's not wrong, but it's all about self-preservation.
Well, it's more than self-preservation. It's about self-promotion because there's been a lot of leadership speculation in Queensland. And Stephen Miles, I reckon he wouldn't mind sitting in Anna Palaszczuk's chair. And so I love him sitting there saying, oh, the Greens aren't the party of the working man. What he's really saying, Liz, of course, is I am the man of the workers, and if I ever found myself as Premier of this state, you could count on me to take care of you all.
I don't care about the elites.
If only he would pick up the phone to Catherine King and say, why don't you make air travel more affordable, Catherine? That would be a great thing to do, wouldn't it? It's not just about the Greens. Moving on to the Herald Sun down in Victoria tomorrow. Exclusive story. Students, migrants, tree changers urged to join the CFA as volunteer numbers fall and bushfire risk soars. We need you is the headline. Migrant students, tree changers, tradies and health workers are among the Victorians being urged to join the state's volunteer firefighting service ahead of summer as Victoria faces increasing bushfire risks over the coming years. Now, we were talking about this on the front of another paper the other day in a different state, I believe, where they're having similar troubles getting people to sign up to the CFS and the SES and all the other bodies. Again, the question I ask, how do we actually get these people to sign up? Because if this is a phenomenon we are seeing across the country because we don't volunteer in the way we used to, how do you turn the dial on that?
Can I make a confession? When I read this headline, students, migrants, tree changers urged, I've heard of tree huggers. I didn't know what I'm thinking. Do they want people working at nurseries to come and volunteer for that? Is that someone who moves to the country for trees?
Yeah, tree changers are people who got the willies with Daniel Andrews during the pandemic and moved out of Melbourne so they wouldn't be locked down incessant.
Right, well, I mean, as you say, there's a massive shortage of people volunteering, and as we'll see when we talk about the Mercury in Tasmania in just a moment, we are coming into fire season. The fact that they are crying out for volunteers and practically, I mean, the front page of the Herald Sun, they're almost begging people, we need you, please, we're desperate.
They're not
Doesn't
still
bode
one
well
of the
for summer.
states, though, that still demand, as was very recently the case in New South Wales, still that you're up to date with your jabs, are they? Otherwise, I'm just like, sod your headline serves you right that we need you. You're discouraging good people from participating. We've even seen fires break out in these countries and these guys were being turned back saying, no, you can't even help out sandbag because you're unvaccinated. Do me a favour. So I find it very hard to read these headlines now, just as we were recently talking about, oh, there's such a shortage in the Victorian police force and we desperately need more people. You brought it upon yourself and any pain that comes as a result is on your hands.
So instead of the headline saying we need you, it should say now we need you.
Yeah. Well, it should say we are deeply sorry.
Yes.
We take it all back. We realise our folly. Please return.
If you would be so kind.